Hey everyone, I'm Lisa, and just over a year ago, I found that I was fed up with every area of my life. I was at the tail end of a toxic, emotionally abusive marriage. I was working a job that I wasn't passionate about and just no longer felt aligned with me. I didn't have any friends. I've come from a fairly dysfunctional family that's always been very emotionally unavailable, unsupportive. I felt very alone, and I was so burnt out and exhausted all the time. I was suffering from numerous health issues from all the chronic stress, and I just realized that I didn't recognize myself anymore. I was angry and depressed and bitter all the time, and I couldn't remember the last time I had smiled or been happy about anything. And I didn't like where my life was at. And I knew that if anything was going to change to make it better, I had to be the one to make that change. And I basically just took stock of everything in my life and looked around and realized that everything in my life revolved around everyone else's expectations of me, my husband's, my family, my job, and none of that stuff took into account what I wanted, what my needs were, what was best for me. And I just finally had to realize no one was coming to save me. I was at the lowest point I was ever at, to where I didn't even want to live anymore. And I felt so completely alone, and I knew I either had to put myself out of my misery, or I had to make huge, bold changes that would require a lot of bravery and a lot of faith and just, mustering courage I didn't even know if I had in me. But I couldn't live like that anymore. And if you're watching this right now and you find yourself in a situation like that, or have had that in the past, where you just felt like everything around you was collapsing and you felt so alone and you didn't know who you could go to, what to do, but you just knew you couldn't keep living that way. And you spent, like me, so much of your life giving everything of yourself to everyone else, giving your love, your time, your money, your energy, people pleasing, trying to make everyone else happy and meet their needs, because you just were genuinely a good person and wanted to make others happy. But like me, maybe you left yourself behind in that. Sometimes we do that. We extend ourselves so much trying to help others that we forget about ourselves, or we're taught to think that, oh, if you do think about yourself, that's selfish. But that's not true. And I'm here to share with you how I completely changed my life, in hopes that maybe it will help you be able to do the same, find the courage and bravery to take whatever steps you need to make your life the life that you want to live. Because I promise you, when you finally choose yourself, everything changes. Everything. Even just that one big first bold move that you make can just domino effect everything else. One of the biggest change I made first was ending my marriage. And sure, I could have started with a smaller step, and you could do that too. If if you're not ready to make the biggest move in your life, start with smaller ones. Even those little things, the more you take steps to better your life, and you start to see those changes and feel better, that will help build your confidence and your strength to make the bigger moves that you need to make. But for me, I don't always take the easy route. So I was like, you know what? If I want big changes, I need to make big moves. So the very first thing I did was end the marriage. And it was, the hardest thing I had to do. Not because I wasn't ready to leave. I was mistreated for years. I was made to feel worthless, like I was nothing. There was no love left in that relationship. But what made it so hard for me was that I have such a big heart, and I knew that telling him I wanted to leave would cause him a lot of pain. And some of you watching might be like, well, if he was, emotionally abusive or, a piece of shit, what do you care? Who cares if he feels pain? Good, right? But for me, I can be too nice. And I still felt bad because, you know, at the end of the day, he's still a human being. And even though he didn't treat me right, like I've been through so much pain in my life through trauma and abuse and all sorts of things that like I know what like every pain feels like because I've been through it. And maybe not every pain, but so many different kinds of pain. And I know how gut-wrenching that could be. And so the last thing I ever want to do in my life is be the cause of someone else's pain, because I know exactly what that feels like. And so that was the hardest thing to get over, that hump of I need to tell him, like, I want a divorce, I'm done, like, I'm leaving, you know. And because, I mean, what was the alternative, right? Like, I could either face that fear and make that hard decision and cause him pain, or by staying, I'm doing myself a disservice. I'm causing myself more pain, more misery, and basically contenting myself to live the rest of my life in misery and depression and not, you know, not be happy with someone, not have a good, fulfilling relationship that has real love in it. And like, that's definitely not how I wanted to live my life, and it's not fair to me. So once I made that decision and left him and moved out, like, God, I felt so liberated. Like that changed everything, even just making that one big step, because taking the hardest step first made me realize, like, well, if I can do that, then all the other stuff I want to change, that's nothing. Like, this was the worst I could feel and the hardest it could be, then there's nothing saying that I can't handle these other things as well. Like, if I could do that, I can do this. So, you know, I moved out and going through the divorce process, but then while I was doing that process of living elsewhere, I really started working on myself and examining, you know, all my just habits and people pleasing and, you know, being really honest with myself and holding myself accountable for, like, how have I abandoned myself over my life, like by giving so much to others that I ignore myself and I allow myself to become exhausted and burned out. And, you know, and then looking at my job and being like, okay, like, it was a decent job and it paid okay, and I had a great boss, he was amazing, but like, it just wasn't what I was passionate about, and it wasn't what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. And just made me realize how much I had abandoned the things I did love over the years. Like, you know, and part of that was, you know, me just not making the time for it, but most of it was because all the time that I could have spent towards it was spent worrying about everyone else and doing everything for everyone else. And so I started writing again, because that was my main passion from when I was a child, was writing. And I started writing a novel, which I always wanted to do. And now, you know, just over a year later, I'm just a few chapters away from finishing the first draft, which I'm really excited about. And but yeah, I basically just, you know, started slowly taking my life back piece by piece. You know, started with the marriage and started thinking about my job and, well, what can I do instead, and trying to build things in the background. And once the divorce went through and I got money from that and was able to afford my own place, I moved to Colorado, because, you know what, like, I'd always wanted to move somewhere pretty that was out west and naturey and near mountains. Like, I was tired of living in the same area my whole life with the same people, and I needed a fresh, clean start. And, you know, some people thought I was crazy, like, you're moving across country by yourself, or like, you don't know anyone there. No, I didn't. But honestly, moving somewhere where I didn't know anybody, I think was the best thing for me. And that might not be the, you know, what works for everyone else, but for me, it was so freeing, because I could come to somewhere and just be myself, be authentically myself, and there's no one there that knows me, that has old opinions of me or who they think I should be, and I can live life the way I want to live and just rediscover myself, you know, and make new friends with, you know, people who are actually aligned with me, with my interests, with my values. And, you know, I can just be like, it's just, it's amazing. Like, I feel so much better just having that space and being able to create the life I want to live. And you know, because it's it's one thing to recognize that you need to make big changes in your life, and it's another thing to actually act upon those things. And I feel like so many times, like, we sit there and wish things were better, wish we had a different job, wish we weren't still in that marriage or that, toxic partnership, or wish this, wish that, but then we get paralyzed with fear and don't take action on it, and then we stay stuck in these same places. And I spent so much of my life doing that exact thing, letting fear rule my life and paralyze me and stop me from pursuing things I wanted to pursue and from creating the life I wanted to live. And once I just basically grabbed the reins of my own life and told fear, like, fuck off. I mean, I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna do this and do it scared and see what happens. Like, see what happens. If I fail, at least I tried, And so far, everything that I've done has worked out amazing, and I have had such tremendous growth from it. And I'm smiling and laughing again, and I have friends now, and I'm just in such a good place, and I've grown so much spiritually, and I'm almost done with the draft of my book. I started this YouTube channel, which is something I never thought I would do because I don't really like being the center of attention, but I feel like between the marriage and rebuilding my life and all this other trauma and stuff I've been through as a kid and before that, like, I have so many things that I've been through that I've fought and clawed my way out of to be the person I am today. And I feel like I have so much wisdom that I could share with other people, and like, why shouldn't I help others? Like, there's so many times in my life where I was really at a dark point, and sorry. There were times that I wish someone was there to help me through it, and they weren't. I always had to do everything alone. And for those of you out there who are doing everything alone, just know that I know what you're going through, even if I don't have the same experience. Like, I know how hard it can be. So just don't give up, keep going, and I promise you, like, if you don't give up on yourself and you do everything you can to fight for yourself, like, your life can and will get better. Sorry, I was not planning on getting this emotional when I was doing this video. But you know what, that's healing. I have come so far, but there's still things that I get really passionate about and emotional, because I know there's so many other people out there going through such tough stuff like I did, and it breaks my heart that so many of us have to do that and do it alone, or feel like we don't have anyone we can talk to about it or who can help us. So I'm here for you, even if it's just in spirit. I don't, if I don't know you, but or if there's something you're going through and you want to leave a comment, like, please do that. Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, leave a comment, and I will try to respond to every comment that I can and just, make you feel seen and heard and understood, because I know how much people just need that sometimes, just need someone to listen and understand. But anyway, I would say, one of the biggest things I learned from this whole experience, from leaving everything behind and completely rebuilding my life, was that, like, if you truly want to reset your life, you have to be willing to burn it all down. And I know that sounds very dramatic, but like, you can't expect big changes and big transformation in your life if you're not willing to make big moves and take bold steps, or make bold moves, take big steps, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But, and I know that might require a bravery and a courage and strength that you don't think you have, but I promise you, like, if I can do it, so can you. Like, I was so afraid, but you know what? It was when you get to that point where you feel like you don't have any other option, or you don't have anyone to turn to, and all you have is yourself, then do it for you. You owe it to yourself to, I don't know, rescue yourself, I guess, save yourself, even if, I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought now. But yeah, I know that today, after everything I've been through, when I look back, I'm so proud of myself for all the changes I made, even when it was scary. Like, today I feel so happy and so much more fulfilled than I ever thought I could have, and I have myself to thank for that. Like, I'm so proud of me, and I know like so many of you might be really wanting to make changes and you're scared, but like, just do it. Like, do whatever you can, even if you can't start with a big step like I did with leaving a marriage. Like, do whatever little things you can for yourself. You know, even if it starts with getting a new job, or, you know, if you're in a position financially, or you're just crazy like me, just quit. I quit my job, and now I'm just, you know, trying to finish my book and do this YouTube channel and see what other opportunities God brings my way. And, you know, right now I don't have an income, but I'm gonna do my best to work hard for myself and hope and pray and know that the right people and right things will align with me, and I will be okay. Like, you know, the money will come when it needs to, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do what I love and try to help other people, and trust that God will walk me through it, and catch me when I need to be caught and need help. But yeah, I just want this message to give you hope if you need it, and give you bravery if you need it. Just know that whatever you want to do, like, don't let people make you think it's not possible. Don't let society make you think it's not possible, or you can't be who you want to be or do what you want to do. Like, just don't listen to that bullshit. Like, I listened to that my whole life, and it never got me anywhere, except, you know, working my ass off and trying to get promotions, which were just more work, more stress, and half the time picking up everyone else's slack. And, you know, and just, you get further and further away from your passions and the things you love and the stuff that really matters to you in life. And that's not a way to live. So, you know, yeah. So now I live my life, my passions, follow what aligns with me. And as much as I've already done, leaving a marriage, moving to a new state, quitting a job, writing a novel, starting a YouTube channel, like, trying to put myself back out there in the dating world, like, you know, all that stuff I've done, like, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. I feel so alive, and there's so much out there in the world for me to try and do and achieve. And yeah, I'm just getting started. So I hope you guys found some inspiration from this, and thanks for enduring my pitiful crying, my emotions. Yeah, I hope you all have an amazing day. And if you're struggling with something right now, if you're going through a similar situation, or you're not happy with your life, I hope and pray that you find the courage and strength you need within yourself, because everything you need is already within you. Like, go deep dive into yourself, and you will find everything you need, and you will succeed if you put yourself first, and you try, and you keep going, even if it seems scary, even if it seems hard. Just keep pushing through the uncomfortability, and you will come out on the other side of it, and you will be so happy you did. I promise. So, guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you next time.